So how would you, I mean, how does the student regent fit into that picture? Because the student regent is a voting member of the board.
I mean, he's one of 18. And the other, I believe there's 7 members of the board, which are financial investors. I mean, so going to the board of regents, I guess we haven't really gotten to the regents yet. But the people who are the regents are not professionals in the field of education, generally speaking. They are people who have been investing. They are, as a career. They're bankers, they're political operatives, and they're major campaign donors, more than anything else. And so, Governor Schwarzenegger's personal investment advisor gets to be ADC regent. Dianne Feinstein's husband gets to be ADC regent. The vice president, the executive vice president of Wachovia Bank gets to be ADC regent. And so to say that the students really have a voice on that board of 18 people, only one of them is a student, I don't think that's accurate. It's not the student regent voted against it. So the voice was obviously we are against this tuition increase, but it wasn't listened to.
Yeah, there should be a student regent from every single campus, each one having voting rights. And that would be more balanced.
I mean, there's a lot of ways you could restructure the regents, the board of regents.
So talking about the vote more generally, what if as a voting student, I agree with parts of your, I'm not talking about myself specifically, but hypothetically. I agree with parts of it, but I don't have no confidence. I agree that regents have imposed excessive fee increases and can do more to include more voices in the process, but I don't think they have failed, or I don't think they've failed completely. How should I vote on these measures?
That's a personal decision, and I'm not going to tell anyone how they should vote.
So at the most recent Regents meeting, they talked about a plan that would, by restructuring a lot of administration, it would save something like $500 million over 5 years. What's your opinion on that? How does that fit into these resolutions?
Well, I mean, these resolutions were written before that, and I'm not, I think this is something that should have been done. Well, first of all, if you have to cut, before you cut academics, you should probably do the basic cuts which don't affect people's jobs. Before you start laying off people, you should do the basic cuts which, like buying pencils from the same supplier. All 11 or 10 campuses in the office of the president. You buy supplies from the same supplier, it saves you a lot of money. That's kind of a basic cut, and it's inconvenient maybe, I think, for some campuses, but it's before you raise tuition 32%, if you could save $500 million by simple efficiencies, I think you should, that should be done. But I would also say that perhaps some of it, I haven't really looked into it, it just kind of came up last week. Perhaps you need to be aware that some of these cuts might not be efficiency cuts, they might actually be cuts. But the idea of cutting efficiencies or making things more efficient is fine. I mean, it's good.
I have a comment on that.
Go for it.
Which administration is being cut? Actually, the administration that's being cut is staff in ethnic studies, like people who do the paperwork. It's not the administration that's really have high salaries that will change the situation. They're cutting staff from ethnic studies because ethnic studies itself is being cut. So it's not just administration efficiency. So.
Well, I agree with that. I just think that before you make cuts which affect people's lives, you should do the basic stuff of making sure we're spending money correctly. And the fact that it's been 11 months since they raised our tuition 32% and started layoffs and started furloughs, well, this should have been done. The basic, buy supplies from the same supplier, that should have been done a long time ago. But I don't think that really applies as much to the no confidence resolution as does some of the basic how the UC is funded or where the funds are going. And it's not one of the major things which I'm concerned with.
Well, that's all the prepared questions I have, but I'd like to open it up to other questions or comments that people want to throw out there.
Well, I want to keep comments.
It is a public forum, so.
If anyone has a question, just cut me off. Go for it. But So, I mean, we all know about the 32% tuition increase, right? And the UC has been saying for a long time that, you know, we need money, like we don't have any money, there's nothing there, there's nothing available. But then when you read the bond prospectus, what the UC puts out to banks, when they need money, they say, hey, we need money, we'll pay you back, we promise. They have a really excellent bond rating. And so if you investigate a little bit how they get that bond rating, one of the things they say to the banks, what they're saying to students, what they're saying to faculty is that we're screwed, we don't have any money. What they're saying to banks is that, and I'm going to read to you what they're saying. We have, quote, healthy and highly consistent operating performance with operating cash flow in excess of $2 billion, driven by a highly diversified revenue stream with no single revenue source exceeding 26% of total revenues. We also have, quote, sizable balance sheet that remains highly liquid with $5.9 billion of unrestricted financial resources and active treasury management, monitoring a short-term investment pool approaching $8 billion in recent years. They go on to conclude, under the outlook section, the positive outlook reflects the university's overall market, operational, and balance sheet strength. Now, I would argue that shows a huge inconsistency with what they're telling students, with what they're telling faculty. How do they have, where is this money? And why are they going to continue raising tuition when the money's going, we don't know where the money's going. That's, I think, part of it.
That's a Moody's report. That's
Yes,
a report that they submitted to Moody's, the bond rating agency, for their to have their bond rating. So they tell Wall Street when to tell us.
And I think the bigger issues, though, are like this, and it's the $800 million that the UCLA Faculty Association is saying that, look, if we just slowed administrative growth, the senior administrative growth, we would have $800 million more in the budget every year. I mean, that's a big issue. I think even the fact that Mark Yudoff is going to the state of California, I think it's important. I think any UC president or any person who was running at a university, when you hit a hard time, public university, you go to the state, that makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. And we have, this year, it looks like we're getting about $350 million more. That's good. But there is a bill, Assembly Bill 656, sponsored by Assemblymember Tirico, which would tax the extraction of oil, which is something that most oil-producing states do anyway. Like Alaska does it anyway, they tax it 25%. This bill would tax the extraction of oil in California at 9.9%, and it's projected to raise between $1 billion and $2 billion a year. Under this bill, that money, all of that money, would go to higher education, and UC would receive 30% of the $1 billion to $2 billion a year that bill would generate. Now, Mark Yudoff hasn't taken an official stance, nor have the Regents taken an official stance. They're nonpartisan. But one group that opposes this bill is the California Chamber of Commerce. And one of the members who sits on that board is Mark Yudoff, and another one is UC Regents Gould sits on that board. I'm puzzled by the fact that they say they support, they do support public education, right, but this is inconsistent. I just don't understand how you can argue that you're really in favor of public education when you sit on the board of directors of a group that is against the funding of public education. It doesn't make sense. That's really frustrating on the side. Does anyone else have something?
You know that the UC system reason for the 32% price increase was due to the government cuts in funding, correct? Well, I don't know if you're aware of it, but this year the UC system lent the California government $100 million.
$200 million.
$200 million. And it seems pretty strange that if the UC system is getting its budget cut by the state, why would they turn around and lend money to California? And I know California is not in good shape either, but
I think one response to that would be that it is a loan and the money's paid back with interest, so it's actually.
Yeah, but that money isn't earned back until several years from now, which would be beneficial for the students several years from now, but not for the students that will pay the 32% price increase today.